I just finished playing Cyberpunk 2077 for the second time, this time to do the Phantom Liberty DLC. Highly recommend, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to play that game. How much chrome, which in the game is cyberware, enhancements, things like that in your body, how much of that can you put into your body and still be human? In the game, there are people who have so much chrome that they become cyber psychos and they completely lose their mind. There are characters who barely resemble humans and look more like robots and cyborgs at this point. I'm a big fan of the cyberpunk worlds, the genres, and replaying this game, it reminded me of a awesome cyberpunk movie that I think is criminally underrated. It's a hidden gem, and I'm talking about the 2018 film Upgrade. I'm not gonna summarize the film for you because you have to go in with an open mind and a blank slate. All I will say is a man is paralyzed in a horrific accident. He's given a experimental AI chip that's called STEM into his spine, which allows him to walk again. And with that, he has to go and figure out what happened to him. But as he goes on through the film, he realizes that AI has its own agenda. That's where I'll leave it. And the rest of the review is not going to have a lot of spoilers in it, but I'm going to talk about what makes this film so great, why it's a hidden gem compared to some of the other films I love in the genre, and be out of your hair. This is Big Mike for Right on Cue, and this is another episode of Hidden Gems, where I highlight films that have flown under the radar that I think deserve a little bit more attention. So here we go. And you'll want to make sure to stick around to then because I want to rate this film on my new rating scale. We'll see how that goes. It's completely arbitrary, but it's fun to rate films, so we're going to try that out. And as always, if you like the content, if you want to see more of it, please follow, like, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Really appreciate it. Upgrade is a 2018 cyberpunk film directed by Leigh Whannell. He is well known as a hyphenate writer, actor, producer, director. He directed this film, The Wolfman, and The Invisible Man, the well-regarded Invisible Man. He also wrote and acted in a bunch of the Saw films, the early ones, and the Insidious films. So he has a big pedigree of working with low budgets and creating amazing films, and this is a perfect example of that. Now let's go back to Cyberpunk 2077. If you've played it, you know that the central storyline of the game is V, your character, has a relic in his head and it slowly takes over his body, and the horror of being a passenger in your own body and watching someone control your body and do things that you normally wouldn't do. In this film, Gray becomes a passenger of his own body as STEM inflicts horrific punishment and horrific violence on people. And just imagine if you are not in control of your body and you kind of are watching your body do these horrible things and hurting people and doing these things, how would you react to that? Like, what would your reaction be? I think it would be kind of crazy. And I really like the cyberpunk aesthetic and the cyberpunk world and the themes it brings up because we're kind of living in that world now. You know, we have prosthetics that help you walk. We have chips that help you see and hearing aids and different things. And we're progressing towards technology being able to control humans and artificial limbs and all this stuff that's coming out. How much of that before you're not who you are? If the only thing controlling you and the only thing keeping you alive and the only thing moving you around is the technology, is all this tech, is it the tech or is it you still in there? That's going to be an interesting question in the future that's going to be raised. And films like this do that. Because in this film, is it Gray committing those horrific acts or is it STEM? And where does Gray end and where does STEM begin? That's explored in the film, and it's really an interesting topic to discuss. The film channels classics like Cronenberg's Videodrome, where in it, you know, long live the new flesh. What happens if the technology you install is smarter than you? And it's not just a tool, it's its own entity. We're seeing it now in the real world. There's the fear of the digital age. What happens when that phone in your pocket is smarter than you, it's tracking you, it's better than you? Now, despite having a low budget, this film looks amazing. There are some awesome set pieces and action pieces in this film. Now, I don't want to spoil a lot, but in his investigation, Gray comes across a number of characters who he has to deal with one way or another. Sometimes it's talking to them, sometimes it's letting STEM take control. But the camera movements in this film are really interesting because the camera will, when STEM takes over, the camera will focus on Gray's face and then kind of move in a robotic, smooth, fluid motion. It's really hard to explain. I'm gonna hopefully have a clip running up here that kind of shows you what I'm talking about. It's, when I first saw it, I was like, this is interesting. I don't really know how to describe it, but this is really cool. And the film has a lot of moments like that where The camera's doing something weird. It's just an interesting setup that you really need to check out. Doing interesting things with the camera, having great acting, a good story, those are the kind of things that make a great low budget film really stand out, because you don't have the budget for a gigantic cast or crazy special effects or other things that take a lot of money. But what you can do is innovate your camera movements, innovate the set design, the props, what's happening, the themes. You're unburdened by a studio and you're free to explore more open-ended questions and more topics that are not meant for a wide stream audience. So you have really great acting where Logan Marshall Green playing Gray has scenes where he's himself and then scenes where STEM takes control. And you see his face reacting when STEM is doing the things it's doing. And it's like a look of horror because he's seeing himself do these things. You have really interesting scenes and action set pieces. The music's really good. The one place where I think the budget really shows is the world. A lot of the cyberpunk movies like Blade Runner, Cyberpunk 2077, Blade Runner 2049, other films of this caliber, you see this giant world. And the world itself is a character. And you see skyscrapers and you see neon lights everywhere and you see flying ships and you see all the technology in the world. And the world is its own character. With a small budget of, I believe, $5 million, you really can't do that. So you don't see a lot of the world. What you do get is a much more intimate, close portrayal of one character struggle with the technology versus this giant city or world that's consuming everything in its wake. So you get a much more intimate film. But I do think the world is a really important part in cyberpunk films. So I do think that is one of the flaws of the film. But by no means does this film look cheap or like a B movie. This is not a B movie. This is a great film. It looks amazing. It's just a smaller scope. It's a dark, gritty film. So if you're looking for a film that deals with the dark side of chroming up or enhancing yourself or upgrading yourself, as in this case, and the dark side of that and the implications of that, and when you're no longer human or what is human, this is definitely a film to check out. It's right up there with all the best cyberpunk films. It's available on Netflix right now, so definitely check it out if you haven't. So if you have seen this film, tell me what you thought about it, what your thoughts are on it, and what are your favorite cyberpunk films, because there's a lot of them and there's a lot of good ones out there. Now for the fun part, let's rate this film. So I'm gonna throw up a graphic and it's kind of break down my rating scheme, where 9 through 10s are complete masterpieces, 8 through 9s are great, awesome films, 7 through 8s are really good films, really strong films, 6 to 7s are your good films worth a watch. Your 5 to 6s are your decent films worth a watch if they're on TV, free on Netflix or another streaming provider, and you just want to have a fun afternoon or evening. Anything below is you start getting into some pretty bad stuff. Upgrade, I would put right at about a 7.5. It is a fun film. It's emotional. It has deep themes and deep topics to discuss. It has a great aesthetic. It has an awesome climax and ending that you have to see to believe. So 7.5, great film. Definitely check it out if you haven't. So there you go, Upgrade, my hidden gem on Netflix that you should watch this month. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm gonna keep posting. Coming up, we have Stranger Things, so I'm definitely gonna review that and cover that. So definitely looking forward to that. Until next time, stop scrolling, start watching.